One day I'm going to be great. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to reach the top. Oh my goodness. What a crazy past. Where do I come from? Why do people who come from this country are always so crazy? Oh my friend. When it comes to visualization, people sometimes are torn between focusing on the future or focusing on the past, and sometimes they don't really understand that yes, being too focused on one part of your life can actually become detrimental when it comes to your ability to produce sustainable success. And this is exactly what I would like to discuss with you as far as this video is concerned. All right, please stay tuned. Dimitri here. Let's get right into it. So again, when it comes to visualization, when it comes to looking at one end of the spectrum or looking at one end of your life and trying to focus on what you want, and let this vision, let these images, let the sound, let the smell, let the sensation of that particular part of your life to actually become so vivid that the brain takes us as an order to simply manifest more of the same. So most people are now trained in the area of focusing on the future, being on the fast forward lane, so that we can just look at it at a tape, focus simply on where they are going, and they'll focus so much on that. Eventually, for most of them, yes, what they were looking for is going to come to pass, it's going to become manifesting, because the brain or the subconscious has no other way but to simply deliver what you are focusing on. And this is for those of us who are actually intentional. But of course, some other people are basically unintentional. They're simply living their life on the, I would simply call it on the passive lane, and they're just focusing on what has happened in the past. And because they are focusing too much on what has happened in the past, they don't understand that because they are focusing that much on the past is their basic, the brain is simply giving them more of the same, because the brain is simply saying, oh, because you're focusing on the past, this is now the filter through which we must be looking at life. So we're going to give you more of the same negative experiences they've actually been able to see so far in your life. And then they don't understand why the life is always a repeat of the same old stories, a repeat of the same type of dramas. But the danger as well with focusing on the future is the fact that yes, eventually, when you get what you're looking for, most of the people actually receive what they were looking for, because only focusing on the future, they don't really come to understand that yes, I'm also carrying a baggage, and because I did not take the time to deal with my baggage, that baggage eventually is going to simply catch up and to simply come and rain on your parade, and before you know it, whatever you're working hard to actually achieve is simply going to come crumbling down, because you know what, the past caught up, and the past simply says, you did not invite me to your party, but I'm still going to show up, and you did not take the time to deal with me. I'm going to show up, I'm going to crash your party, I'm going to make it a miserable drama. And that's what happened for most of us. So in this video, I'm going to take my time to simply give you an insight into the best way to actually manifest what I simply call sustainable success. Two basic examples. First, I'm going to go with the example of a gentleman who focused so much on the future that it forgot where it was coming from. It forgot his root. And eventually, when he reached the top, the roots or the past that he never actually took the time to address caught up with him and simply destroyed his success. Example number one, 1960, October 30th, 1960, somewhere in Argentina, was born a young man that was actually living with some very poor parents in a place that was basically a shanty town. And as a matter of fact, where he was living was simply made of less than desirable materials. As he was growing up in this environment, at one point for his third birthday, one of his cousins decided to actually gift him with a ball. And that ball basically became the gateway to his future. The young man intuitively, at this very young age, simply said to himself, this is now going to become my future. So what he would do every single day is he would spend countless hours just playing with the soccer ball, just trying to create all kinds of different tricks, master the ability to play with this ball on a daily basis. And when it comes nighttime, he will take the same ball and simply say, no, I'm not going to leave it anywhere in the house. I'm going to take it, I'm going to tuck it under my shirt. And by doing that, intuitively, what he did is he was simply impregnating his mind with a command to simply say, this is what I want. You have to find a way to deliver me now a reality to be consistent with what I'm doing, because I want to impregnate my body with this reality of becoming a great soccer player. And that's what he did. And eventually, by the time he turned age 8 or age 9, people around him started looking at the father. yes, there's this young boy in this particular part of the city that has a great master when it comes to playing soccer. So we're going to go after him to bring him into our team because we want him to show us what he can do. When they did that, the young man took a team basically and took it to a place where he became simply unbeatable. And of course, the rest is history because that gentleman eventually came to be known as the hand of God, otherwise known as Maradona, Diego Armando Maradona. But of course, as you know the history, in the latter part of his life, success, of course, reaches a certain level, but because he never took the time to address the part, his past, the past caught up with him, and the past simply standing, basically bring him down to the point where eventually his legacy was almost compromised. That was example number one. In 1960, October 1960, Diego Armando Maradona, a man was only focusing on the future. Now, let me give you an example of someone who was actually more balanced, focusing on the future and also focusing on the past. Basically, knowing where it was coming from, but finding ways to simply change the narrative as far as the past is concerned, to simply find strength in the past and build a narrative of someone who was coming from a lineage of actually giants. And that gave the momentum to go on to manifest the future. And when the future came and the future met with the past, the future simply said, my goodness, this is someone standing on solid ground. The future is glorious and the past is glorious. And so when this man started standing on the ground, the ground simply said, we're going to support you because both the past, the luggage from the past and the future, the amazing things of the future are in agreement, so you're going to be actually jet propelled to the next level or dimension as far as your journey is concerned. So now we're going to switch the date. 1960, that was in Argentina. Now we're going to go to 1906. We're going to go to Europe, back to this gentleman Aristotle Onassis. Aristotle Onassis, when he was born to his parents, he finally reached in 1920, which this place known as Argentina. Oh, this is so funny. Born in Europe, and eventually went back to this place known as Argentina. So when he goes to Argentina, yes, a very young man, he said to himself, I am here as a quote-unquote a nobody, because nobody knows my family as far as I'm concerned. But I know that the past has the ability to show up unannounced when it comes to what you're going to build. So I'm going to look at my past. I'm going to change the narrative. I'm not going to look at myself as someone that is part of this diaspora that had to flee the country because there was war in Europe. I'm going to simply shift something in my brain to simply tell my brain that yes, despite all that's happening right now in Europe, I see myself as coming from a lineage of very, oh my goodness, amazing entrepreneurs. As far as my family is concerned, but I also look at the history of the country, Greece. I see myself as someone coming from a nation of giants. So therefore, on both sides, personal and collective, I am coming from a lineage of giants. So I'm going to Argentina not as a beggar, not as a pauper, simply as a giant who was simply there to conquer the land. As he got to Argentina, what he did is, let me now focus on what people are actually doing around it so I can actually soak as much as possible and see how I'm going to let this reality now become part of my reality. It's not basically looking at people actually interacting over the phone in person and doing business, and eventually this psyche of money, psyche of wealth creation, as far as Argentina is concerned, got into his DNA and got him to come up with ideas that simply were revolutionary, because he went on to simply see needs where others was simply seeing complaint, and with this need, he wanted to create his first tobacco business, and from that point, he went to distribution when it comes to importing stuff, and from that point, he simply said, no, enough is enough. I've done all this business. Now it's time for me that you get into the bigger business. It became a shipping man, and before that, he got into the oil business, and before you know it, he was a giant. Why? Because he simply look at both ends of the spectrum. He look at the future. He said, I'm going to visualize the future, but I'm also going to visualize the past. I'm going to say, I'm coming from a country of giants. I'm coming from a family of giants. So therefore, I am a giant. Number one. Number two, I'm looking at the future. I'm seeing that the future is actually open wide. I can see, I can become anything I want. And based on that, he simply went on to impregnate his mind with possibilities. And when the man gave him something he was looking for, the man simply saw success coming his way, and success simply say, yes, I'm coming to you, but I'm also seeing you support because you have a solid foundation when it comes to where you're coming from. You've been able to work on your baggage. You've been able to work on narrative. Therefore, I'm going to stay and I'm going to help you make history. All right? It's just one example for us to consider. Don't just focus so much on visualizing the future that you want, but also take the time to consider where you're coming from. So even if you have to go on to simply shift the narrative, simply say to yourself, where am I coming from personally? When it comes to my family history, where do we come from? What achievement or what milestone or what foundation have my parents have actually laid for me? Number one, what have my forefathers before them had done as far as we are concerned? Number two, what is the collective issue of our family as far as we are concerned? So when you do that, first of all, as far as you are concerned, you then go on to a nation. Go on to simply study the history of the nation at least 100 years from where you are now. Based on that, try to find strength as to what makes your nation great. Because once you know what makes your nation great, number one, and what makes yourself great as far as your families are concerned, you have built something powerful with simply the foundation upon which you are standing on. Because your mind knows that you are a man standing on solid foundation or a woman standing on solid foundation. When success that you're simply calling with all your might becomes a reality, success simply go to stay, because simply success go to say that yes, you are a man or a woman of balance. And a woman of balance or man of balance is someone who's always going to attract more opportunities, more resources, and more pages of history as far as you are concerned. Alright, let me just stop here right now. But before I go, 4 key things for you to consider. Number one, please make sure to like this video. Number two, please make sure to leave a comment in the comment section so I can know where you're watching me from. Number three, please make sure to share this video for as many people as possible. Last but not least, my friend, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell. So next time we put together a video, you can be amongst the first one to see the video. Alright? Love you so much. The best is yet to come. But as for now, I'm out. Be intentional. Take care.